We are eating cake. We are eating cake. Made by a lovely relative, but we're a little suspect because it's flatter than it usually would be. It's the Victoria sponge, but it's as flat as...
I dropped a bit and the dog was like,
I ate the suspect cake.
ooh.
Nelly.
Nelly.
Hi, I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
And we're sat in different positions because the living room's a different shape slightly since we recorded our last video. We're here to continue our long series.
Long as series.
Long as balls series of Doctor Who reviews. We're up to season 22's. Why?
God, when you say it like that, good grief.
Freaks you out a bit, doesn't it? Because, recap for those who may have forgotten by this point, we're doing this because back in early 2018, like February, March of 2018, we binged all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies up to that point, including a rewatch of Black Panther in the cinema on the afternoon of going to see Infinity War. So basically, we binged the whole series in time for Infinity War.
Absolutely. And it was spectacular.
It was great. And then I think straight after that, we binged something else really... No, it was before we did that. We binged The Mighty Boosh or something. We'd done a big fly-through of the Boosh and watched the lives and the documentary.
Oh, no, we didn't.
Red Dwarf?
Red Dwarf,
yeah.
That was it.
So we've been going through a lot of binge, and off the back of the Infinity War one, I went, what do you want to binge next? And Lucy said, Doctor Who. And I said, great, reaching for the Chris Eccleston box set. She went, no, all of it.
From the start.
I was like, are you sure this could be a commitment? She went, it'll be easy. Here we are, at the time of recording this, 2 years and 4 months since we started.
Really?
We've had breaks because I've gone and done pantomime work over Christmas, and we've, in your life. In the first year we went away and got married and had a honeymoon. We've got a dog in this period who's now been with us and in our lives
we had to train her and all that stuff.
Yeah, she's been in our lives for a year and 9 months at this point. We've
Really, Mel, you're an old lady.
We've been up to stuff in this entire thing. So what's been interesting is during the lockdowns, because we're in Greater Manchester, so we had one of the second you lot cannot go out unless the place has a card machine lockdowns. And
see, I don't consider that a lockdown because I go out.
Yeah, you go to work. Exactly, that's the thing.
I don't consider
it's like you can't see your family, but if there's a card machine in the venue you're going to, then that's totally fine.
Yeah, people say the second lockdown, and I'm like, there was a second lockdown? I was not told.
But because of that, we had a bit more time early this year, and hence we've managed to fly through Tom. You guys will be seeing this video in October, November, but it's currently August. Yeah. It's late August for us. Yeah. Based on the rate of succession of the marathon, I might even make the release schedules a little tighter and put them out every 3 weeks, because we got through this in 10 days.
That is crazy.
We are in the 6th Doctor's era after a one-off story at the end of last series with the twin dilemma. You don't even know what a Peri is, do you, Peri? Here we are with season 22, and we kick off with Attack of the Cybermen! What happens in this one? Hit us! Slap me with a big old plot synopsis.
They're Cybermen.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, I forgot one.
Yeah, it's been a little while. So the Cybermen, there is some time corridory-esque shenanigans because they have a base underneath London, but they also have a base of operations on Telos. The moon base is mentioned as well briefly, but they have a base of operations on Telos, which is the planet that the planet that we've been to before. They stole it and turned it into their cryo chambers because Telos is a planet based around cold and freezing and a whole thing of their what's its temperature, the species that live there, who are called, well, I'll have to look them up. I can't remember the bloody name, but they need to be kept cold. So the Cybermen have been nabbing space there, and it's not been going right because there's a bunch of rotted ones in there as well. And what are they called? The Cryons. There you go, cryogenics. They're the Cryons.
Oh, yeah, I didn't say that.
The lovely Cryons with their bubble wrap mustaches and bulbous heads.
They look great.
They look pretty good.
Really good.
The Cybermen have hijacked all their shit. So essentially this is a story where the Cybermen have also managed to acquire a piece of time travel technology, and they want the TARDIS so that they can essentially start to expand and gain more of them. Meanwhile, the Doctor also bumps into Lytton, who we last saw in Resurrection of the Daleks, the clone of a man who would have lived another time, who's out there committing crimes, and this time...
Committing crimes?
This time we find out that, no, what actually happened is, by the end of the story, spoiler alert for a 30-odd-year-old piece of TV, we learn that he was the one who put out the distress signal, but it's because he wanted to get to Telos and help the Cryons. He'd obviously, managed to get in touch with them in the interim and wanted to help them out. This is interesting as sin. For starters, they start off on the worst possible note on purpose, which is the Doctor fixes the chameleon circuit.
Yeah.
Because he just fancies a change. So we get a resplendent cabinet that looked any second like it was about to burst open and sing a song to Belle. And we also got an organ. But that's a weird choice. It's like they want you to be annoyed, isn't it? Like, oh, you've been with us for 22 years. Yeah, fuck the police box, pardon my language. We're going to change it right up. It seems so arrogant.
What I'd like to know is, this TARDIS could obviously do that before it broke.
Mm.
Imagine...
So why is the Master's always a column?
Imagine somebody going up to, say, a piano. That's not very imaginative because it was an organ. But... and going, I'm getting my TARDIS now, and climbing into a piano. That's just awkward.
Yeah.
That's just uncomfortable for you, climbing in the TARDIS. And somebody seeing you from afar going, okay, need to get off the crack.
It's like, Perry's like, where's the door? And then he goes down the back and just sees his arm go.
Oh yeah, it was funny because I was like, how the hell are you supposed to get in that? And Perry's like,
said,
where's the door?
Lucy says, how the hell are we supposed to get in there?
Doctor!
But it's unique, because obviously by the end of it he's like, sod it, never mind. So it's obviously just for the sake of, go on, let's mess around with it for one story, let's see what happens. Interesting, because of course they arrive somewhere he's arrived before.
Yeah.
Potter's Lane, which is looking slightly less crowded and scruffy nowadays.
Yeah.
But also, I remember when I first saw this, I was like, why does it now have Potter's Lane on the big gates, the big wooden gate? Because that's what it looked like. It was a big dark gate with 76 Potter's Lane written on the front. Yeah. And then it's just like a little dinky sign on the column next to where a gate should be. But then I was like, well, it is a different decade, so of course it would have changed a little bit.
But as soon as it came up,
it's just a nice touch. It's fan service before the show gets obsessed with fan service.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
But it turned up and I was like, oh, that looks like the scrapyard from the first series. And then you were like, does it look familiar? And I was like, yay!
I remembered rubbish and where it was placed. Susan, get on the TARDIS.
Oh, Ian and Barbara. Do you not miss Ian and Barbara?
I always miss Ian and Barbara. But we can always go back and watch them after we finished our marathon in 5 years. At this rate.
Next week.
We've got stealth Cybermen patrolling the sewers. Mm-hmm. These scary guys.
Yep.
We have got Cyber Leader giving his best. Excellent. We also have the return of the Cyber Controller in the new look style, played, I believe, by the same actor.
Yeah, you said, didn't you? Because he looks very different from the rest of the Cybermen.
Portly Cyberman.
Because he was a little bit older
A
little more portly.
And also no brain colouring on the dome, really.
No,
so it just looked like the Cyberman mask had warped a bit.
Yeah, well, you could tell.
Even in the black and white, you could tell it was meant to be like a brain in a jar.
Absolutely.
And the modern series, when they do
veiny.
it, when the modern series do it with John Lumick,
yeah, it was
like it's
gross.
just a brain in a thing, and
it's gross. But it did look different. You could tell that he wasn't the same as everybody else.
Yeah,
his helmet did look different.
So
but he was like doing the robot, like walking like a robot, whereas the rest of them were just kind of stomping around,
pottering around a little bit, hoping for the best.
You guys probably should have had a meeting before this episode.
Except for the guy in the back of shot.
Oh, bless him.
The Cyberman in the back of shot on like
that
the second scene.
That probably would have haunted him for this whole life.
The second scene with the Cyber Controller. the Cyberman just sort of stumbles forward in a way where you can see they're reaching out with their hands, and then they like find the console they want, and then they go right, and then they dramatically turn to it.
They clearly can't see where they're going.
Oh no, Harry!
It's like, was it a Cyberman that was walking down the stairs and he fell? And then like he stumbled when he.
I think it was in Earthshock where it's like walking down the staircase. It's just like boom, boom. Yeah, it's a stormtrooper banging its head on a door moment.
Exactly, they must be quite difficult to walk around in. We should give them more credit, but it was very funny.
It was very funny
because I started laughing and Christopher was like, "Did you see that?" Like,
the Cryons are nice, even if they are a bit creepy.
Yeah, I thought they were really cool. I thought they're
very touchy-feely with Perry. A theme very common with this series, really.
Oh God, it's gross, but yeah, I liked that. It was quite grim, really, wasn't it? Because they were going to execute them.
Yeah. They were
going to hang them. Was it this one?
No, I thought you were talking about the Cryons. I was like, yeah, the head Cryon, they lock her in a room where, like, if she leaves it, she's going to die because the temperature outside's warm. I thought that's what you were talking about.
But it's the same guy from...
No, they were going to hang. That's Vengeance on Varos.
Oh, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah, because Syl's down there barking like, "Yay, freaking hang him, mate!"
Oh yeah, of course he's. But no, the guy returns from the previous.
Oh, Lytton.
Yeah, Lytton is returning from the last one with the Daleks.
Yeah.
And he has been chosen by the Cryons to essentially kill the Cybermen.
Yeah.
And.
Because the Cryons have decided, like,
give them back their...
The best thing to do is to blow up basically their technology and their planet and everything, and kill the Cybermen. Because, like, Perry's like, with that they'll die, and it's like better than let them get what they need and go out into the universe. It's like, oh shoot. Well, they say that, but what they're really saying is like, we love feeling your shoulders, Perry. I like Attack the Cybermen. It's straightforward. It's fun.
Yeah, there's creepy bits. On the planet.
We're in the series where every story is 45-minute episodes and all but 1 or 2 episodes, so it's got a nice pace to it.
On the planet, there are if you are not made into a Cyberman, like you don't fit their criteria, you're essentially made into a slave.
Yeah.
But you have parts of a Cyberman.
Yes, the guys in the quarry.
The guys in the quarry that are trying to take over the it's not is it a ship?
They need to fly out of there, yeah, that's what they want to do.
Yeah, so they are, like, they throw things at the Cybermen and they explode and stuff.
They blow one up, hollow out the head.
Yeah.
And wear it.
Yeah. It's gross.
There's great stuff in here.
It's very morbid.
It is, but, like, it never felt like we were watching something uber grim.
It was really cool, because at the beginning it was like, oh, there's going to be a bank robbery, and it's all kind of stuff with that. And then it was like, oh no! This is completely different.
And of course, the most dramatic score in all of television.
Oh, jeez. I think they were watching something else whilst they scored it.
They were scoring like some wacky criminals for an episode of the Sweeney, and then they just went, "What are we going to do with this music?" Oh yeah, that famous bank robbery scene in Playdays. Attack of the Cybermen. Down it goes. Vengeance on Varos. Reality TV predicted years ahead of it actually bloody happening, although this human suffering isn't done by the people forced to watch it with relatives who've got the Kardashians on the box. No, this is torture against essentially like the police state and the government. Yeah, but like, it's the government torturing folk to keep them in line against the will of the governor, who is the latest in a long line, who is re-elected by people like voting with buttons, which we noticed immediately. It's like Beast Below, like that Beast Below is taking cues from this one then, because it's that whole thing of a button of yes, no, like you tap it on the monitor, and if they get enough no's, they're basically put through this sort of radioactive psychodetic torture, and if they survive it, they stay on as governor. And the guy in charge now is not doing a great job, but he's actually trying to make things better. Because he's figured out that this system is cruel as hell. Because as soon as he's gone, someone else is randomly picked and put in that position. Yeah. He's also forced to trade their special mineral materials, which the TARDIS needs, because it's something that it's low on. It used to be easy to get hold of from this planet. What's the planet called? It's what's that bloody planet? Zyton 7's the what's it?
But it begins with M.
Yeah, Varos. This Varos is in the bloody title. Varos. This mineral, this Zyton 7, on Varos is something that used to be I get hold of, and Time Lord used to regularly pick some up for time for TARDIS experiments and creation. But now it's sort of being bought for ridiculous prices by Syl, played by Nabil Shaban, who is one of those actors who you can tell was just like, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Oh, I can eat the scenery.
As well as I eat my green jelly. I'm going to do it. Syl is great.
He's very good.
He's really,
very
really creepy.
Disturbing.
Yeah. And it's the actor just going, I'm going to have fun with this.
I'm going to give this everything I've got.
Yeah. Great design.
Looks like a slug.
Which is a recurring design we've noticed in recent seasons. Slugs as villains.
Clearly hates slugs.
Yeah. So we have the folks who are living sort of on the lam, like there's some rebels who do occasionally manage to get away. Who are trying to break out of everything.
Yeah, they break out, but then they're like killed, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like because all these corridors have these different security measures, and some are hallucinogenic, and others like make you hallucinate until your body reacts to the hallucination and you die. It's like the Doctor in the cliffhangers. Basically, like roasted to death by a desert sun.
Yeah, that doesn't exist. His body's just made to think that it's happening.
There's also experimentations in gene splicing going on this planet. From I can't remember his name now, but like the chief officer? Yeah, who's got like this creepy little. No, the chief officer's the mustachioed dude, isn't it? Who am I talking about?
I don't know. Who are you talking about?
Quilliam.
The guy that's helping Syl.
No, that's the chief officer. That's the guy with the moustache. Quilliam's the guy with the Phantom of the Opera star mask.
Oh,
and,
oh no! God.
Who basically loves his gene splicing experiment so much that like he did one to himself one day. It went wrong, and now he wears a mask.
Yeah.
This is full of some really colourful, slimy, horrible characters. Really great, grim scenes of torture and near death for all the characters involved.
It's a very weird sentence to say out loud, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Great scenes of torture.
Perry and what's her face? I'm having a moment. Aretta are like transformed into sort of like aged zombie reptile beast and a bird, respectively. Because
it's a punishment, isn't it, that you're turned into what you fear,
or what your brain like goes through during the process. So like they theorise that Perry's turning into a bird. Because she wants to fly away, she wants freedom from this thing, she wants to get the hell out of it. It's like, oh shoot, that's creepy.
God, that's really scary. And the other woman's turned into like a reptile.
Yeah, she's just like flaky zombie skin with scales, and yeah, it's horrible. And then you've got
and Syl was like getting attracted to her, and it was like,
yeah, well, because it's meant to highlight the idea that to him humanoids are repulsive, but the fact she started looking like something different, he's like, oh, fair enough, I might keep her. But then like the hanging scene, like you said, that was tense as anything. Yeah. And the fact the Doctor was so clearly confident in what he wanted to know, because he's like, any last requests or whatever, and he's like, no, thank you. And just moving on.
They weren't going to do it.
Yeah.
It was like it was a scare tactic, essentially.
Was it this one? Was it this one or the last one that had the acid bath for body disposal? It was this one, wasn't it? Yeah, it was this one.
It was, yeah.
Yes, which is bloody brilliant because they got to dispose of the Doctor's body at the start of part 2, and he wakes up and fights the guys off, and one sort of unwittingly goes into the acid, and then he defends himself and knocks them both in.
No, one falls in and then pulls the other one in.
Yeah, because the Doctor's fighting him, and he like pushes the guy into the guy's grip.
Why would you do that?
And then you get the whole what is it? What's it? You won't mind if I don't join you, whatever it is. Just put his waistcoat and coat back on, like, I'm going to James Bond my way out of this bitch. Bye! I'm just going to give a pithy one-liner and leave.
I feel like that's what his Doctor is.
He's a bit Bond. A little bit Bond.
No,
especially with the pithy one-liners.
Well,
it was the 80s. All action films were like, cheeky one-liner.
Good old 80s.
And like most action films, they were hit or miss. But yeah, Vengeance on Varos was really good.
It was really good.
And that wonderful bit at the end where the couple have been watching the events the whole time. Because it was full of meta jokes about TV and making television and stuff. Like the whole bit where the priest, they're giving the last rites, the hanging, and the Doctor's like, do you always play the part of a priest? As they're just walking off, it's like, what a weird thing for him to say. Oh, okay.
And then you remember the Doctor is Sass McGrath.
Doctor is Sass McGrath. we're 3 stories in with him, but let's be fair. We're 2 stories in with him.
Yeah.
Last series was like a warm-up.
He's still finding his feet.
What do you think of Colin by the middle of the series? Because he's a very polarising Doctor. Also, we're all told he is, because the 2000s did all these bloody programmes of like, oh, we love the 80s and all this, that and the other, where they'd go, Doctor Who got really rubbish, he looks like a clown. And that's kind of the extent of it. Yeah,
and I mean, I have no idea about all this, him not being liked until, we started living together, and then you started doing things like 5 Who fans, and we started going to conventions and stuff. And it was like, oh yeah, his costume is hideous. And nobody likes him, so it must have been a really awful time for Doctor Who. I actually love him.
Yeah.
I have, like Christopher said, we've watched this in 10 days.
Yeah.
Usually, I'm going, oh, I don't really want to.
Don't fancy it tonight.
Can we not watch Doctor Who tonight? Even though it was me that started this, but whatever. But it was like, yeah, no, let's watch it. Because, one, he is just hilarious. And Sassmagrass.
Got some of the Pertwee sass back.
The thing that is most important, I think, is the way he reacts with Perry.
Like, they have an antagonistic relationship.
Yeah, absolutely, but they still care for each other.
But unlike, say, Tegan and everyone in the TARDIS at that point, or what have you, they're like an old married couple archetype.
Yeah.
Like, they're bitching at each other and giving each other as good as they get. He's a pompous arsehole, and she lets him know it.
Yeah.
Which makes for some, like, when the writing really hits, it makes for some really funny dialogue. But also, Colin and Nicola are clearly having a blast playing these scenes.
Yeah. And you can see it. Having been through the last Doctor, where he's unfortunately got really shitty companions, excuse my French. Yeah,
apologies to anybody who loves Nissa et al. But yeah,
sorry about that.
You've seen the other videos, right?
It's really nice to see the Doctor and Perry together. I liked Perry when she was in that one story with David, but Peter, sorry.
Davison.
Yes.
Peter Davison.
But no, these guys are great together, and I don't understand why people don't like him.
Because
he is an arsehole.
Because programs over the years just conditioned everyone to go, look at him, he looks like a clown and he's covered in question marks, and they just. That's all they say about.
He didn't want it.
No, but that's all they say about Colin and Sylvester's eras.
And that makes me sad, because he is really good. He is really good. I thought he'd be really annoying in a bad way and not in the good way that he is.
Yeah.
He is rude.
He's Sherlock Holmes. But he's an arsehole, but you know that he's going to do the right thing.
Exactly.
So you sort of stick with him, and you don't necessarily forgive him his arseholdiness, but you find entertainment in it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's very alien. He's standoffish with everyone. He doesn't get on with any bugger. Even though in this series, he constantly meets up with people he's apparently met before. Mm-hmm. Everyone around them doesn't get on with.
Yeah.
He's really abrasive. And that's where Perry... And it's sort of the early days, like season 8 modern era of the 12th Doctor and Clara... The early days with them, like their first few stories together, reminded me of this pairing a bit. The idea the Doctor is like not an agreeable individual, and the companions having to go, yeah, sorry about him. Anyway, and that kind of thing, which I enjoyed, and it's a shame that era doesn't really do much more with that after a few episodes. Whereas this era is like, this is their relationship.
We'll get there.
They clearly care very deeply about each other. But neither of them are showing the affection off. They're just taking the piss out of each other.
They're best friends.
Yeah.
That are they're almost kind of like siblings.
Yeah, I get that. Well, let's see how that goes on beyond Vengeance and Varos, which is probably one of the damn strongest stories in the 80s.
And Syl was putting me off, though. It was really distracting.
Syl? Syl. I was like, Steve McCoy's not there yet.
How gross he was.
But great performance. Testament to how good it is. Yeah. Mark of the Rani. What happens in this one? I'll kick you off. Luddites. You got Luddites running around. Breaking machinery and being annoyed at the industrial age is on its way.
People in this village are getting angry, and all the men are getting aggressive, and people don't understand why.
The English mining village of Killingworth in northeast England.
Yeah.
Complete with all the accents, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're American watching this, woohoo!
Good luck.
Good luck. And the doctor, can he kind of sense that something's going on? Like a lot of the like pinnacle inventors at that time. And industrialists are meeting in one specific area.
Yeah, George Stevenson being the most sort of referred to, and we meet him in it.
What's going on here? Why is this happening?
Yeah, it's the meeting at the landowner Lord Ravensworth's accommodation. He was great. Really, he was really good. Like really hammering the accent, but loving it. Because he was sort of the only one who was like sort of RP, but he was very like on it. So yeah, he senses someone because they get pulled there, and there's someone watching them from afar. Kicking off, even though it's completely unnecessary, but we appreciate consistent. We stand a consistent king. Someone's disguised as a scarecrow for no reason other than to make us feel kind of funky. Who's in this story, Lou?
He notices there's no birds. The doctor notices there's no birds, but there's a scarecrow.
Perry's like, maybe it's because of the scarecrow, and he's like, I don't bloody know. I'm not using that. Who's in the story, Boo?
The master!
Cheeky little Andy Ainley over there with his little face. A lot more sinister in this. He's just full-on vengeance-minded. He's brought the Doctor here on purpose because he wants to kill him. He even takes advantage of the Luddite anger by just like saying, yeah, that bloke's the one you want. He's one of the inventors and he's going to take your jobs. Go kill him. It's like, what the hell? But he's also
he's
here...
He's good at thinking on his feet, isn't he, the master?
Oh, yeah, this one is... Like, Delgado's master's a long game guy. He's the guy who we don't realise what he's up to until we first find out in the story. Do you know what I mean? Like, units suddenly stumble across a thing and you realise the guy who's been running the company for 6 months or the guy who's been experimenting on the prisoners for 10 years or whatever, like, is him. Like, he's a long game master and he crumbles under pressure when shit goes wrong. Come, Kronos! But this master is panto-villain in every possible way. Because it means when someone like could possibly go his way, he's like, aha! And he'll twist the situation. Like, it's just missing him turning to camera and having a little aside to camera before doing it. Which Ainley would have absolutely pulled off beautifully. He's here because he knows there's another Time Lord here. A rogue Time Lord, played by the lovely Kate O'Mara, known as the Rani. What's the Rani's deal, son?
The Rani's deal, she's been, I can't think of the word.
She's exiled.
She's exiled from...
She's like the Doctor or the Master, but she was forcibly removed from Gallifrey.
Gallifrey.
No, we're in the full Gallifrey era now.
For Gallifrey. And she's got something in her TARDIS, hasn't she, that she needs.
Well, she currently rules over a whole planet.
A whole planet, yeah.
But that planet is full of a species that are very kind of baser instinct, very savage. And she's unable to control them. She can't control them anymore. They're too lucid. So she's been experimenting in like sort of basic mind control. She's been breeding these maggots that, when ingested, like make the person immediately chemically suggestible. Because she's a chemist, so that's her thing. But like, it's not enough. So there's one thing that she's figured out on Earth could do brilliantly. She's been apparently visiting Earth in several different spots where there's been unrest throughout history, because no one will notice that, like, of course people are angry. Like in this, of course the Luddites are kicking off, like they're about to lose their jobs and their livelihoods. So no one's going to notice if suddenly people are getting really angry. Yeah, if people suddenly getting really angry, everyone's just going to chalk it up to them overreacting. Yeah. When really, she's taking the chemical out of their brain that helps humans sleep. Thus removing the sort of the chemical instinct to rest and to subside.
And to relax.
Yeah, so she's going to take it and she's going to basically make her planet more docile. Amongst other experiments, like keeping T-Rex embryos in her TARDIS. Which, by the way, cool puppets, but also, what a TARDIS design!
I know, very cool.
Ooh, it was tasty! It wasn't just like a dark version of the others. It was just like, no, completely different architecture.
I like the centre column with the.
So it was like an ornament, wasn't it? Like a sculpture instead of a column.
Very cool. Very 80s. You know, like in 80s rom-com movies where the big boss's office is like all grey and, you know, looks some things like very metallic.
Grey marble and steel tops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what it made me think of. So it was like 80s.
Did you like the fact she also, despite the fact that she and the Master do not get on, and they're basically trying to outfox one another to get the best outcome. Like, we could help each other, but we're absolutely going to screw the other one over when there's a moment. Despite that, she shares his penchant for an elaborate disguise, including rubber mask, like her old crone look.
Yeah.
And then she's, what do you call it? Like, immediately she's in the leather pants, boots,
just ripped
fabulous blouses.
Like it's nothing. It's
like,
ooh! Oh, girl, you look fabulous.
When it comes to Rani, I don't see what the ongoing obsession with the character is into the present day.
Because she's a female Time Lord.
I think that's all it is. Because Kate O'Mara is fabulous.
Very good. I really liked her.
But this is one of her 2 canonical appearances. Don't worry, we'll get to that. And she's great in this. I don't enjoy her character in the next one she's in. And it's not down to Kate O'Mara, it's just down to, like, okay, this is ridiculous, like, in terms of the plot and everything, the things she does. But I could see why people love her as a one-off character. I don't see what the obsession is with wanting the character to come back. But as a one-off, like, as a villain who pops up in the 80s, great, sure, she's a lot of fun. You get some great set pieces in here, like the TARDIS being forced down the mine shaft, and the Doctor, like, nearly being lobbed down there, and the feral people, like, attacking. Well, there's loads of good stuff in this. Colin disguising himself by taking off his coat, putting on a shawl, and then just putting a bit of dirt on his face. And being very proud of his disguise, despite his bright yellow bloody legs, green and red spats. His Rupert pants. Like, it's just, there's a lot to like in this. And Perry, like, really being on it, being super sleuthy.
Sorry means come in. Sorry.
What did you hit it with?
This brush, I flipped it and it landed on her face.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry.
Well, your punishment is to be trapped in your TARDIS with a component missing. And being stuck in a time corridor so that all the time gets affected and the T-Rex embryo breaks out of the glass and starts to grow into a full-size T-Rex.
That was cool.
It's a cool ending. I wish we'd just had one more shot of it, like, from above, massive screaming at them. But I like that, the idea that they're stuck, they can't move from the wall because of the force of the ship moving, and this massive predator is just growing in the middle of the TARDIS. It's fun. It's a fun story.
You warned me that it would be a bit, that this is, like, not a favourite
of mine.
Of the Who universe. Because it was like, because it's the Rani. It's not the story, but it's got the Rani.
The 2 Rani stories are a bit divide people a little. It's alright, but I think this is fun.
I loved it.
It's really fun.
And like halfway through, you're like, oh, this is better than I remembered. Yeah. Because it was like, it's fun. Yeah. It's just fun. The Master and the Rani are hilarious together. It's very panto villain.
Oh god, there's a lot of like Mexican standoffs between everybody.
A lot of her going, oh, you're very frustrated.
You bastard. Pretty much. Ooh, you bugger.
Do you mind kicking me, love? It's very, oh, you're ruining everything I'm doing.
And we get like 2 take-a-shot mentions of the titles, like the mark of the Rani. You sort of get
the
that
red mark on their necks
from the procedures. Yeah. And yeah, obviously, like the course of history could have been perverted had her plan gone awry on this particular spot.
With the sweet meats.
Yeah, oh god. Just try these sweet meats. And also, it's just a joy to see Anthony Ainley.
Yeah. How many up as usual?
Yeah. Would you like to know how many times you're going to see him again before the show ends?
No.
Good. But there's one person you did get to see, 2 people you got to see one more time. For those who've been watching this series since it began, you might remember that Lucy's favourite Doctor so far, and favourite companion with that Doctor, have been the second Doctor and Jamie. Both of them return in the 2 Doctors. Okay. What happens in the 2 Doctors? Doctor goes on behalf of on behalf of the Time Lords.
Yeah, he's made to essentially
to visit an old friend and halt time travel experiments. Mm-hmm. But then what happens? By Jingo.
Turns out
the story.
They're in cahoots with the Sometime.
Yes. Trying to remember the name now.
It's a location episode because they're in like Spain or something. Is it Spain they're in?
Oh yeah, well it starts off on this ship because Dastari is a man of science and this, that, and the other.
They were friends, weren't they?
Yeah, they employ in their labs a species called the. Oh my god! I know the name and it's really annoying me. Oh god, I'm gonna have to read it.
Oh, it starts off on a spaceship, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Like it's one of my favourite alien names, and I've just literally blanked on it.
The Doctor and Jamie go for this like meeting.
Androgam.
And they arrive in the kitchen. So they end up in the kitchen somewhere.
So that's what they materialise. Yeah, when they get there.
And there's a very angry red-haired person.
Androgam, Shockeye.
That is very, very intrigued as to what Jamie is, and essentially his people like to eat things, don't they? They like to eat. Sample different meats and fruits. Exotic foods and stuff like that. So he wants to eat Jamie, essentially. And who wouldn't in that kilt?
What a snack.
But they end up being captured, don't they, essentially?
Well, the Doctor's captured because is it Chesen? I can't remember pronouncing her name. The character played by Jacqueline Pearce, who played very well.
Oh, yeah.
She's Dastari's protege, and she's an androgam who's been augmented to be better. And essentially, she's his ultimate experiment.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to be the best of us. Problem is, she's realised that, yeah, I could be, but I could be if I had power over all of time.
I don't need you.
She's gonna keep Dastari around to help everything happen, but she's like, I'm gonna do that. And I've managed to become allied with two members, Stike and Val, of a Sontaran battle fleet, who too want to crack the secret to time travel in their never-ending war against the Rootans. So we're going to work together. And that's what's going to happen. And Shockeye's aiding her, the chef, because he's like, I want to sample stuff, I'll help you out. And he's there to keep reminding her that, like, you are a noble descendant of the Androgam, and you're just serving him. She's like, I'm not. I'm going to put things right, but we need to work together first with Dastari, with the Sontarans. And what we need is a Time Lord. It's like a Time Lord nucleus or whatever, because they've realised that the thing that makes time travel work, like part of Razalon's secrets to TARDISes and time travel, is that Time Lord DNA is why it's symbiotic. It's why TARDISes work. So if they want to create a time vessel based on TARDIS schematics, they're going to need the DNA of a Time Lord. So they kidnap the Second Doctor and take him to modern day Spain to experiment on him and draw it out of him, leaving Jamie in the ship, turns out. Because then the Sixth Doctor and Perry arrive. Because they want to have words with Dastari. Because he's had an incarnation of himself being put to death. Yeah. He's had a vision of his second incarnation being killed. And he's like, well, that doesn't happen because I'm here. I'd remember. I'd remember if I'd been killed. Like, I'm here now. So this is weird. Something's out of whack. I'll go see my friend Dastari. He'll be able to figure this out. He's not a learned man. And they get there, and they find that the computer's trying to, like, kill them as a security measure. The place has been blown to pieces, as we find out later, by Sontarans. And Jamie has been living there for, like, however long it's been, like a year, 2 years, whatever, just feral in the ducts. So they manage to get him to come round. He realises that the Doctor is indeed his Doctor, just looks different. And they set off to find Jamie. Not to find Jamie. Set off with Jamie to find the Doctor. And then what follows is just hijinks, basically. Intercut with scenes of Paddy in mortal peril. We should probably bring him in just to make sure that he's not left out here, because he is technically in this story. There are 2 Doctor Who's in this story.
Hurrah.
Colin Baker and Patrick Troughton as Doctor Who.
Are there no Jamie figures?
No, not yet.
What the hell, guys?
Give them time. Give them time. They'll get to it. They'll get to it. The B&M sets are showing that people want more classic companions, so there'll be a time.
I feel like that's because of us, like because we're watching it. I feel like that's the reason. Yeah,
we're generating it. You have oh god, you have what are the couple called? Well, there's a restaurant owner he's an actor. Is it
Bruno?
And he's an actor, and he's taken on running this restaurant in his spare time.
And he collects. He's doing it for a friend.
Oscar,
that's it.
And Anita, his friend. Yeah. Is that right? Yes, it is, because Doña Arana is the old woman who lived in the place and then gets
Yeah.
murdered, and Androgum takes her memories, because that's part of her ability. She can sort of take someone's memory after they've died and learn more, and she has like mild psychic abilities as well. Because like when Perry shows up to just distract them for a bit, she senses that she's thinking of the Doctor. She's like, right, she's an illness. Meanwhile, Shockey's just like, I just want to kill and eat someone. And he kills and eats Jamie, and he kills and eats Perry. And in the second half, just to screw things around, because they managed to get it to work, but the Sixth Doctor sabotages the machinery just enough. Because the Sontarans want to double-cross the Androgums, and the Androgums are working under Dastari's nose, and Dastari doesn't realise what the extent of the experiment is, but he's just letting her do her thing because he wants to see what she will do. And it's just like, what is going on? But it's lots of scenes of Paddy lying down or sleeping in a wheelchair.
Yay.
Which we think is the reason why he said yes. He's just like, I'd love to come back, but I don't want to do very much moving.
I'm going to be paid to lie down.
If in the second half you could have it so I'm just sitting eating all the time, that'd be very, very good. It's like, all right, Paddy, I guess we're doing that. Because they end up at the restaurant, they end up at Oscar's restaurant. Roscoe gets shivved, mate. He gets absolutely shivved right in the stomach. Don't he? He gets murderized.
He does. And it's quite dramatic.
Yeah, but on purpose, because it's sort of played for black comedy of like, he starts reciting Shakespeare as he passes away.
Strange character.
And a butterfly collector. No, a moth collector. But him leaving cyanide around saves the Doctor's life, because when Shockey's like tracking the Doctor down, he's going to kill him and eat him, the Sixth Doctor. What do you call it? The Doctor uses the cyanide butterfly net and slaps cyanide in Shockey's mouth, and then delivers like that's your just desserts. Pwned! And then he teabags him.
Yes.
So yeah, Shockey's repulsive but brilliantly played.
He's grotesque.
He's so brilliantly played.
The sounds he makes haunt me in my dreams.
It's weird because it's a lovely juxtaposition between the horrid kind of like cannibalistic, lip-smacking, heavy breathing noises whenever he's thinking about human flesh, counterpointed to the really eloquent way he describes taste and cooking, and it's this weird thing where you're like, so the Androgums are passionate about food and the preparation of food, but as a result that makes them terrifying because they're like, oh, food? Yeah, that could be anything. You going anywhere? Like, your arm looks rather fatty today. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh my god, all right, I'm getting out of here. I mean, it made even more creepy by the fact that in the second half, just to screw with everything, they used the reverse of what had been done to Chesen to augment the Second Doctor, luckily, albeit temporarily, into an Androgum, which then starts to bleed through his lifelines because Colin starts to notice the cats and dogs look really delicious. Yeah. And it's like, oh god. No. And we were imagining like that he's the sixth incarnation. How bad must it be for John?
I wish you'd seen that.
It's like, Doctor, thank you very much for house-sitting my cat while I was in Geneva, says the Brigadier as he steps through the door.
Do you reckon the Brigadier...
to find the Doctor spit roasting a cat over the fireplace.
Do you reckon...
The science, Brigadier. Now bring me the ketchup.
Do you think that the Brigadier is a cat or a dog person?
He's neither. I think he'd be...
Snake.
No, nothing to do with a tank. I think he'd be... I think he'd probably be a rabbit person. He'd like the ease of it, and he'd like the simplicity of just putting him on the lawn and watching them bound around while he has a whiskey.
I think he's a dog person.
You say that, but that's because you want to marry him, and you want to marry him and have a dog together. Anyway, not denying it. No. This is fun. This is really fun. It's 3 episodes long. The Sontarans get screwed over. One of them gets melded up DNA style in the time machine. They are unnecessarily tall, and their masks make it look like the Sontarans' heads are plonked on top of their collars instead of sticking out of their collars. This is not the worst they've looked. I think Invasion of Time is the worst they've looked, because that guy's like black mouth makeup and the Doctor and all that stuff. This is not the worst they've looked. The stylized design to the moulding of the face, because it's like a structured mask, and all you see of the actor underneath is the eyes and what the mouth does with the mouth around them. This isn't the worst they've looked, like, mask-wise, but they are weirdly tall. super bloody tall, and that's kind of distracting.
And when they get like exploded, it's like what was the name?
Oh, the Sontarans.
No. What was the name of the woman? The
Chesen.
Chesen. She kind of lured them into the basement of this house and threw a bomb down it.
Yeah.
And one of the Sontarans survived.
Tries to get out in the time thing.
Yeah.
But little do they know that the Sixth Doctor had since taken out like the key component.
Yeah. And they were like green and gooey and
melty.
It was like, ugh. This is
so gross that even Shockeye like has its like severed leg at one point to prove the Sontarans have died.
Yeah.
And then even he sort of looks at it, he's like, and puts it on a chair and leaves it. It's like, you don't want to eat it? What was it like seeing Paddy and Fraser again?
Yay!
Did it make you happy?
It made me so happy.
Oh my giddy aunt! Oh crumbs!
Oh,
you were so smitten at that moment.
I nearly cried.
You were so smitten. It was adorable.
I love him so much. He's so precious.
Not the best Sontaran story. I think that's still the first Sontaran story.
I think you could have put anybody in there, really.
Any alien.
Yeah.
Still fun, and I like the way the Doctor's attitude toward each other is kind of, we shouldn't be in the same time and space.
They never
Shall
like
we?
each
Shall
other.
we?
I think that's really funny.
Well, these two don't argue so much as they're sort of like very just short and to the point with each other, almost as though they're like, we need to get this over with quickly. Like the longer we spend in each other's company, like the worse this can be.
Yeah.
And also, like the reason why this adventure can happen, and both of them, I suppose, could remember it, is because the Doctor and Jamie were on board the ship and whatnot during these time experiments into time travel, the thing that led to the time machine being created. They were so close to the vortex that the rules kind of got bent a little bit, hence why he was able to die when he didn't in the Sixth Doctor's past. But obviously he always must have done, maybe, but it's only known by these two at this point in their life. Like,
timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
Yeah. A lot of fun, though.
Yeah, it was fun.
Another reason why the season 6B theory exists.
Yeah.
Because they're both clearly older. And they're on missions for the Time Lords. We want to stop the time experiments just because they want a monopoly on it, basically.
And he mentioned Victoria.
Yeah, was it? It was Zoe. They dropped Zoe off somewhere.
No, they said Victoria.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh God! So wait, did they go back and pick up Victoria again?
Well, who?
Zoe's at the end of his era.
Yeah, so it can't have been Zoe, can it? Because it's him and Jamie.
Well, no, that's the point. This adds credence to the Series 6B theory.
Yeah, I know.
That after he gets like banished and he's like, "Oh my God, you're making me giddy," that the Time Lord's then like, "Actually, before we exile you, we've got some missions
I see.
that we want you to go on.
I'm sorry. Right.
And you're allowed someone to help you." And he's like, "Well, I want Jamie then." And it's him and Jamie go off and do stuff for the Time Lords. It's not official, but it's a big theory, and this story's kind of like the main body of evidence that it exists. The other one's in the Five Doctors when he's like, "Hang on, no, when you were sent back to your times, you had your memories erased of your time with me." So, well, how would he know that? How would the Second Doctor know that? Yeah, there's all these theories. Basically, it's just crap continuity, but fans have kind of found a way to go, here's our theory. Because you don't see him regenerate from 2 to 3. There's even a short film, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's on one of the early DVDs. There's a short film with another incarnation who does a very brief separate adventure before he gets sent to Earth as John. Yeah. But anyway, the Two Doctors. Our last multi-Doctor story of the classic era. Canon, anyway.
I very much enjoyed it.
Timelash. Timelash. You gotta listen to the Borad, boo. You have to listen to the Borad, because if you don't, you can get thrown in the Timelash. You're going to get lobbed.
You do not want to get thrown in that time.
You are going to get lobbed right into it. He's going to kick you right in your nip-nips.
And nobody's going to stop him.
Well, maybe the Doctor, because we go... they're suddenly ensnared by a Contron corridor, just similar to a time corridor, and they end up on Carfel, where the Doctor has apparently been before, so much so that he was taught in their schools the visit of the Doctor. In fact, the people living underground have a token, proof that he was there. They have a locket with a picture of a young woman in it who travelled there with the Doctor. Which later on, Perry... It seems that Perry's obviously been asking questions about like the Doctor's life and learning about it. Because she recognises the woman as Jo Grant. Little Katie Manning's smiling face.
Yay.
And later on, a mural in the wall of Mr. Pertwee himself. So the Borad's taken over since, and there are medallions that essentially are keys to accessing parts of the What's-It. The people who are put in charge are screwed over and replaced constantly by the Borad.
Yeah.
The Borad.
Borad.
And people are executed by being cast into the Timelash, which is essentially a time corridor portal thing that just chucks people wherever.
A bit like I thought of it a bit like the bloody hell, Weeping Angels.
Yeah, kind of like that in a way. And What's-Her-Face gets chucked in, and she ends up... let me just double check. Vina, that's it. She gets chucked in. Of the previous dude in charge. She gets chucked back, and she arrives in... I'm trying to find the exact dates, because it's very late, boys and girls watching this video are a little bit sleepy. Scotland, 1885. And she ends up meeting a young man called Herbert, who's a teacher currently and an aspiring writer who's staying at this house that's like his uncle's on holiday, and he's looking at occult stuff, and he thinks he's summoned her and that she's a ghost.
Because he's doing like a little Ouija board kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So Vina, the Doctor, and Herbert, who's a stowaway, go back to the planet, and so Perry encounters creatures underground, a big reptilian creature known as a Morlock. And
it's like a dinosaur.
It's like a dinosaur worm thing, sort of like a big old neck.
A big old neck. And
they're the people living underground who are trying to sort of take over, like uproot the system. And the Borad's got these androids which have very squeaky voices, and they move brilliantly. Like the actor who's portraying all of them is like doing what the cyber controller couldn't quite pull off.
Yeah.
And they look so weird. I just wish the voice was different. That's all I wish was different.
Yeah, they're very tall and they've got really broad shoulders. They do look scary, but then you hear them. Will you stop? So itchy.
You can give yourself a rash.
You're so itchy. Why are you so
itchy? Shenanigans ensue, and eventually we find out the Borad, what people see. The grumpy Kenobi. Was it Darkside Kenobi we called him?
Yeah, somebody in Alec Guinness had a baby. Who was it you said?
I can't remember now, but it sort of looked like depressed Obi-Wan. The Borad's really a half-man, half-reptilian creature who the Doctor met the last time he was there on Carfel, who, through experimentation on the Morlocks got hit with this gas canister at the same time and physically melded with them. So his plan is to screw stuff up so bad that the species that they're doing business with, who are called...
We didn't do the research before the video.
Well, we watched it, but it's... the Micros. No. The Bandrill. The Bandrills, who look like big cobras.
They do. They really do.
The Bandrills are like, oh, you're screwing us over politically, we're going to come kill you.
Is it weird that they were kind of cute?
No, not at all. It's because they have very polite voices.
Yeah, they were really cute. And they were sat in what looked like a bridge, and there was a chair.
Yeah, it looked like they were the captain of an Enterprise.
Yeah, it's like, oh, so comfy.
So, essentially everyone's been thrown into war and chaos because the plan is the Borad wants everyone to basically blow themselves up and kill themselves, and he's going to take one humanoid to do the experiment to, and he picks Perry because she gets thrown down amongst the Morlocks with a gas canister strapped to her, so that when it inevitably gets excited by the scent of human flesh and everything and attacks her, they will merge into one creature. Not Yetaxa. They'll merge into one creature and he'll have a bride. So it gets very Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, for a third time.
Yeah, but after all is said and done, day is saved. Borad is defeated, thrown into the goddamn Timelash because the Doctor ain't playing around anymore. And we realise the significance of this man from the late 1800s randomly joining them. We realise who Herbert is.
Ooh.
Not only is the Borad going to land in a similar area and inevitably become the Loch Ness Monster, is the implication.
Yep.
So we've had two of them now. But also, Herbert is H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells.
Because he's going to go on and tell the truth in a book. Because he's going to realise no one will believe me, but I'll write a story about it. About time travel and reptilian creatures and an underground society of Morlocks, and it's just like, oh, story, that was sneaky. Sneaky story.
Because all the way through, I was like, oh, this guy's at Herbert's going to be a companion for sure, because it was... You could
it just seemed like such an odd choice for him to be there and focus,
And he was getting really involved with the Doctor, and I was like, oh, he's going to be a companion. And then that happened, and I was like, oh, cute!
So it's just a cute little bit of, hang on, so we've had a couple stories with historical figures in this series. Timelash is fun. It's not like... It's not like riding high the greatest ever, but it's a lot of fun.
I would say
it's
of
camp.
The series,
it's super camp.
It's probably the weakest of the series, but
I'm trying to remember his name now.
That it was bad.
The guy who's put in charge is so slimy and skeevy. Yeah. He's great.
He is a definite theatre actor. You could tell.
Theatrical performer is hamming. So because the Doctor's thinking at the end is when the Boris throwing the Timelash, he may have ended up. In Scotland, as the Loch Ness Monster, the Doctor's quote is, he may be seen from time to time. It's like, oh, shit! So, Timelash, fun. Great makeup.
Yeah.
In that one.
Yeah,
really good makeup. And now...
It was really good, that lizardy makeup.
Do you know what is also really good? Segue. My favourite story of the series. I love this one.
I know
it's so bleak. Revelation of the Daleks! Come to tranquil repose, ladies and gentlemen. It's where the dead are put to rest and those who cannot be cured are put into an eternal slumber until the time is right to bring them out and cure them. They're looked after so well that the ceremonies cater to them. They are looked after as well as they can be in life in the moments leading up to their death and even beyond their death or suspended animation. They're even kept informed of what their loved ones are doing by a radio station that's blasted into their...
A DJ,
into their,
as they're called it.
A DJ, yeah.
A DJ.
Thing is, Tranquil Repose was that, and despite some really gross employees like Jobel, who's just this sexual predator... head of the department who's harassing people, body snatchers who are really starting to throw the heckles off for some of the employees because they think there's more to all this going on than meets the eye. Despite all that, there's even worse happening, boys and girls, because up to the highest height, Eleanor Bron is playing Kara, and she's doing a deal with the new manager of Tranquil Repose, the Great Healer.
Great Healer.
Because she wants charge of the food stocks. The Great Healer's supplying them and she wants them all. She wants to be known as the person who's politically the one who's saving their part of the galaxy.
Exactly.
So she wants to take them off the Great Healer because she's figured out who the Great Healer is. This person who's shown up and suddenly turned Tranquil Repose into not only a more profitable place, but has somehow replenished the food stocks in the galaxy. She's figured out that it's the known galactic criminal, Davros. Who is apparently now... because the last time we saw him he exploded in a ship, is a head in a mechanical jar computer bank thing.
Yeah.
Terry Malloy acting his balls off despite only being a head.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. It's impressive the amount of fear he can induce just by being a head in a jar.
Just the way he turns as well.
And that is
so
horrifying.
Freaky. Yeah.
That was horrifying. The speed in which he turns is... horrific.
He has a couple Daleks with him, now in gold and white livery.
Yeah, is it weird to say, because they're really bad, villains, but they look pretty.
Yeah, it's a good look for him. It's a nice new look.
Very clean.
And as we learn later on in the story, the replenished food stock that the Great Healer is renowned for is made from corpses. The corpses that don't work in his experiments are turned to food. The corpses that do work in his experiments are mutated into brand new Dalek creatures. Because Davros, as he was at the end of Resurrection of the Daleks, is building himself an army. He's making Daleks that are obedient to him, as he always wanted, and not like the real Daleks who are out there going, "You're a little bitch boy," and don't want anything to do with him.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what they say behind his back.
Is that what they said?
You know that bit in Daleks Manhattan where two of them meet in the sewers and one turns around to make sure no one's listening and turns back? That happens all the time on the Dalek ships right now.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
so sassy, so sassy.
So he's playing with everybody's affections and playing. Is it Tassenbecker playing her off off of her affection for Jobel, because Jobel, played by Clive Swift, is this slimy, horrible,
thinks he's better than everybody
predator.
else.
Yeah. And
he is the greatest person on the planet.
And she, even though she realises she's a fool to, she still has affection for him and she loves him and she knows it'll never be returned. She's offered the chance of immortality by Davros in exchange for killing Jobel. And the first thing she does is try to warn him and be like, no, get out. I'm risking my life to tell you to run. And he won't listen, and he just buries her in insults.
Yeah.
So then she stabs him with a chemical and lets him die in the middle of the big corridor. But the Doctor and Perry are visiting Tranquil Repose to visit a friend of the Doctor's who has apparently passed away. On Necros. What's the guy's name?
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I can't remember now. But,
You just see this
Stengos!
waggy tail.
Yeah, that's it. Arthur Stengos is the man who supposedly died. But it's also Natasha's father. The two grave robbers are actually there to find out what the hell's happened to her father. He's one of the first Dalek mutations.
They sure do find him.
That is the greatest thing that they've done with the Daleks since their introduction, I think. Like, I'm not saying I'm not saying that other stories haven't been amazing, because they absolutely have. But in terms of, like, really playing with it and really going, here's how terrifying they are. The last time that it was this scary was the claw coming out from under the coat in the first Dalek story, where you were suddenly like, wait, what the hell? And the way that Hartnell and William Russell play it when they're looking and think, they're like, oh God, they're like, right, Susan, look away, and they use a coat to get out. This is like, we've seen glimpses of Daleks, we've seen ones that just look like, organs with sinewy bits, we've seen ones that look a bit tendrily. This is the first time where it's like, oh, you want to see what's inside? Well, here's what's going to be inside Davros's new lot. And it's how scary it is. It's just this mutant lump of flesh with his face in the middle, and he's got like metallic bits in his mouth, like he's been augmented.
Oh, it's horrid.
And then he starts talking like a Dalek while he's explaining to his daughter what's happened to him, and then starts screaming, kill me. If you ever loved me, please kill me.
Imagine seeing that as a kid. I would be disturbed for life.
Well, at this point, the show was about to take its forced hiatus, because apparently it needed to be reassessed because it was too scary, but also rubbish. Make up your mind, BBC bosses. But that was before this went out, that decision had been made.
Bloody hell!
I love it. I love the clear glass Dalek, like the idea that the armour's being forged. Because you see one does get finished, like before Natasha and her friend are killed. Like one does appear before, but they've rigged everything so it appears, kills them, and then it blows
explodes,
up. But you also have the plot with Kara and her secretary, who are a wonderful double acts, and it's also nice that that Eleanor Bron comes back wearing probably the same headgear she was wearing in City of Death. Exquisite.
Yeah, probably.
Can I wear it again? It was exquisite. Davros knows that she's double crossing him because she hires Orsini,
an assassin,
a knight of the oh my god, what's he from? Not the Round Table. They dance within the table. We do routines to go to scene. Orsini and his squire Bostock. He's a I'm trying to remember what his name is now. The Knights thingy, whatever. It'll come to me. Someone will mention in the comments. But he was excommunicated from his knights, and he wants to at least win their favour back. If not join them, just win their favour back. He's been a contract killer ever since. He's notoriously a great killer, although he's getting on a bit now. Like he's got like a artificial hip that is like.
No, he's got his leg.
Yes, because he's part of the bone
place. He needs to stand up because his knee will get stuck. Yeah,
he can get stuck, and it's always giving him pain, and it reminds him that he's alive. It's like, oh good lord, Orsini. He and Bostock they're looking for an honourable kill.
Yeah. To
at least just let the Knights of Oberon to let them know that look,
his reputation is still upheld.
Let me at least die with honour.
Yeah.
By killing someone evil. So when he knows it's Davros, he's like, I'll take the job.
Like, yeah, boy.
And Kara has, to make sure she's not implicated in anything, has given him this thing that's like a signal. Like once you set that off, we'll come in. You to kill Davros, and we'll send our men in, and we'll deal with everything. But really, she's giving him a bomb.
Yeah.
That's going to blow everything up, Davros and Orsini included. Excuse me. Orsini and Bostock are great.
Yeah.
Natasha and her companion are great. The fact that he keeps getting drunk to muster up the courage to do what he needs to do.
Do you know how hard it is to find a good secretary?
Oh, God, they're great. Jobel and his smitten not Mrs. Tassenbecker, they are great.
Oh, you were talking about the doctor who had the flask.
Yeah.
Getting drunk. Yeah. Not the doctor.
And the doctor and Perry are great in this. I mean, they dress for the occasion.
No, Perry.
She'll be fine. Don't worry. She'll be okay. This way, she can't get preyed on by another creepy person calling her pretty. There we go.
Which she does.
I love his cloak in this story. It's such a great look. Great idea that Davros is kind of like subtly mocking the Doctor. Like he's sort of done this on purpose. He's turned that guy into a Dalek on purpose because he knew the Doctor would come down to learning he died and was at Tranquil Repose. And he kind of wanted to rub it in his face. But also there's like the gravestone of the Doctor. Mm-hmm. And he has that horrible realisation of, oh my God, I've arrived here after my death.
And he's really confused.
And Perry's like, but you're not...
Yeah.
Well, Perry's like super baffled. And she's like, but you're not dead. He's like, no, but I am here. Like, maybe I die here, or maybe we come back here shortly. I was hoping I was good for at least another 2 or 3 regenerations. It's like, oh, dude. Aww. And then he gets crushed by a big foam thing that we joke because it looks clearly like the styrofoam pieces, kind of cracked pieces. But then in the next one he survives because he's like, yeah, it's all just artifice. They're just trying to make it look scary, but I'm not really dead. It's like, yeah, what was the point in that then? Orsini kills Davros, except he doesn't. Because the real Davros is lurking somewhere else. The head in the thing was a decoy. He shoots his bleeding hand off, and Davros' fingers scatter everywhere.
Ew, it's really gross.
Oh. But yeah, and I said to you before, didn't I? I was like, you do realise what he does next. You were like, oh yeah, he's got a metal hand in the new one. It's like, yeah, there you go.
But guys,
this is where that starts.
Can anybody answer me the question?
I don't.
What is his other hand doing?
Don't.
What is it doing?
You asked me that question before, and I told you what I think. And you
I know what you think, and it's not appropriate for Doctor Who.
He only whips it out when he's a Dapol action figure.
I don't want to know when he whips it out.
No, the other hand. The Dapol action figures from the late 80s, they made a Davros. And he's got 2 arms.
That doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
But can anybody tell me, please, what he's doing with his other hand? Because I'm confused and I want to know.
Jerking it.
No, he's not.
He's jerking it just a little bit.
He's making jerk chicken.
He's rubbing his finger around his... Anyway.
Stop
He's making jerk chicken, and yours is better. But the staff managed to get hold of what we thought was the president's ship who was visiting like his departed wife.
Yeah.
Nope. It was all a ruse. Because the guys who we thought were nasty staff under some like bad guy employ who were fighting the grave robbers, Natasha, like... Turns out, no, they were actually trying to get to the bottom of it all because they suspected stuff was up. They wanted to rebel against the Great Healer. They figured out who he was, and they'd somehow managed to contact the Daleks. So, the OGs show up.
Yup.
We're here for you, bitch boy. And they kill Davros' new Daleks. I think they take one prisoner, don't they, but they kill the other. There's a lot of blowing up golden white Daleks. And then Davros gets taken away by them at the end, and it's like, holy shoot! And then the Doctor and Co have got to get out before the Daleks come back for them to verify that it's the Doctor.
Yeah, they want to kill the Doctor, but
Davros tries to distract them with like, but your sworn enemy is right here, and they're like,
it doesn't look
he doesn't look like the Doctor.
We're gonna figure it out.
It's regenerated. It's like, well, right, you stay here, we'll verify it, and then they blow up a Dalek, and then Orsini uses the bomb, like his last act of honour, as he holds the corpse of Bostock close to him,
even though he's stinky.
Even though he's a stinky boy. They blow the place up. I love this story. I don't know if you can tell from how passionately and loudly I'm talking about it. I love Revelation of the Daleks. It's one of my favourite Dalek stories. It's so grim. There's this weird heart and softness to it with Alexei Sale's character, DJ. And Perry wanted to meet him just to get away from all the creepy stuff.
She thinks he's American.
She thinks he's American. She's like, I thought you're actually from the States. What? The State? United States of America. Oh, that's brilliant, that. And it's just like, oh my God. And it's just the idea that UK and US like music and culture have made it out here at some point at this point in time because his like granddad or whatever fought somewhere and went to Earth as part of it and brought it home and he loved it. Because there's like pictures of John Lennon and Marilyn Monroe on the walls. He blows up a Dalek with a cannon made of electric guitar sonics. That
was friggin' awesome. That was so cool.
There's some cool shit. And also the weird disarming nature of his segments, where it's just suddenly he's talking to camera, and you're like, what? But they did that because if he wasn't, it'd just be weird. It's like, who's this dude who keeps shouting into a microphone?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, no, we're going to make him look at the camera, because why not? It just adds to the weird, eerie feeling, especially because you learn that, like, people's loved ones send messages that they don't even mean. Like a woman saving all of her suspended animation husband's money up to find a cure for his disease. And the DJ reveals after he's finished reading the letter that they found the cure like 10 years ago. I don't know what she's doing with your money, mate. It's like, oh my god.
Don't tell him.
It's horrible. I love it. I love the story a lot.
It was very
Did you
good.
enjoy it?
I really did. I really, really did.
And my final question to you, Lucy Johnson,
Yes, Christopher Johnson.
what did you think of season 22 of Doctor Who?
I loved it.
It was good, wasn't it?
I can honestly say there wasn't a story that I didn't enjoy. Wait, there wasn't a story, is that right?
There was not a story you did not enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's getting late now, I'm quite tired.
Leave her be. She's a sleepy lady.
Yeah, I loved Time of the Rani. I thought that was so much fun.
No, Mark of the Rani.
Sorry, Mark of the Rani.
Oh, don't get those two confused.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Gary Boswell.
Sorry, Doctor.
Yeah.
I had a great time watching this.
It's good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
also, there was an amazing point in sorry, what was the last one? The Dalek one.
Revelation of the Daleks. It's weird because I always think it's called, in the top of my head, I always think this one's Resurrection because it's about dead people.
Yeah, that would.
But
make
it's
sense.
not. It's Revelation because the revelation that Davros is doing horrible shit to people to further the Daleks.
But the Doctor and Perry couldn't find an entrance to the place, so they choose to climb over it instead.
Oh my god!
And there's a moment.
He's fat. He's fat shaming her, and then she fat shames him back. She's like, "I'm not taking that shit."
And he gives her a.
But they get attacked by the mutant in the field and stuff. The guy's been experimenting on. That's so tragic.
It is. It's gross. That was good.
It's like I killed him, and he forgave me. It's just like, oh my god, Nicola Bryant plays that moment so well.
She's wonderful, but
you were talking about the bit where she hurts him in some way.
He's lifting her up over the wall. and something happens, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and and he's like, "It's alright, barely use it anyway." And jokes like this, and we were like, "What did Perry do?"
I could get you a new one. And he's like sort of holding a lower part of his body and all this.
The camera angle, it was done on purpose.
Yeah,
the camera angle.
It's basically like, Doctor Who's first cock joke.
It looks like he's holding his junk.
It's Doctor Who's first knob gag.
And it turns out it's a pocket watch.
She's crunched his pocket watch.
Because we paused it and we rewound it, didn't we? Because we were like,
wait, hang on.
What did she do? Where did she stand? That was a great moment. But I think that just emphasised what a great pair they are.
What a great pairing.
Yeah, they're so cute.
Strapping bungee harnesses to the TARDIS so that they can do certain shunts in time and just like
she just takes it in her stride though.
Well, that's the thing. He's occasionally very nasty to her, and when he is, she either there's that bit where he tells her something or whatever, and he looked down and she was just miming behind him like nah, 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 nah. Or she gives it straight back to him.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's like brother and sister. It's like an old married couple. It's all in affection.
Yeah.
He's an arsehole. She puts him in his place by being an arsehole back to him.
Yeah.
And then they have these really lovely warm moments. Where you sort of go, no, they really care about each other.
Yeah.
They really care about each other. Like, the reason she's stuck with him, even though he's an arse, is because he saved her life in, the ultimate sacrifice in Caves of Androzani.
Yeah.
And she stuck around to make sure he was okay, and now she's sticking around because she loves travelling with him.
Yeah. And she gets worried about him, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So she's she's so good. I just love her.
She's great. She's great.
It's just so nice to have gone through from a series where I didn't like any of the companions. Okay, Tegan, she grew on me, but not enough to miss her.
You didn't like Adric, you didn't really care about Nyssa, it took you a long time to like Tegan, you hated Turlo.
Really hated Turlo.
Until his last story, it was like, oh, too late.
Yeah, but it didn't it didn't do anything for me, I'm afraid.
Fair enough.
But,
and then Perry comes along.
She's so cute.
Yay or nay. So yay being good, being it's alright, and nay being no. Attack of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Vengeance on Varos.
Yeah.
Mark of the Rani.
Yeah.
The Two Doctors.
Yeah.
Timelash.
Yeah.
Revelation of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Holy shit, guys. So
10 days, guys, we watched this in.
We love season 22. I'm so happy you enjoy it as much as I do, because...
Chris has little squee moments when he realises
you catch me watching you so much, because I'm waiting to see your reaction to a moment. I love the series.
You know when I'm really invested in it, because I stopped doing what I'm doing.
You stop everything, and you're just watching Doctor Hume, and that happened through most of these stories. So I'm so grateful you enjoyed it, because it is one of my favourite series.
I really did think I was going to hate it. From that first episode with Colin, I was like, oh,
Twin
Jesus,
last
what
year.
are we getting into now? But no, he's really, really good.
The downside to loving it is we've gone through it so quickly.
Yeah.
Meaning in the next few days, Lou's got a bit of time off away from work. In a pandemic, can you imagine people being so generous?
Hey, my work are handling it really well.
They are, but you shouldn't have to be at work. You should be at home, doing nothing but watching Trial of a Time Lord, Colin's second full and final season.
What?
Is the next one we're watching. But before that, a cheeky bonus video. Bring it back now, we won't take less. No, no, no,
I'm excited.
no, no!